the phrase "no Johns" has actually been an interesting thing for me to think about. I love phrases that come within the Smash community. I think we've come up with a few great ones. Wombo combo, where are you at? No Johns. A lot of these phrases, that I grew up with over the years, that the Smash community has grown and spread through the community. And with no Johns, I actually really like it at face value. Johns is just pretty much a synonym for excuses. And, when people brought up the philosophy of no Johns, really growing up in the beginning, early stages of the Smash community, it really brought this mindset to me of, regardless of what is happening in my surroundings, regardless of my issues, and regardless of things that come up, rather than me making excuses, I should find a way to be better than that. And so I grew up, in high school. I remember a lot of things in my freshman year where I blamed the teacher, I blamed the assignments, I blamed a bunch of factors that led to me not getting the grades that I wanted. And it wasn't until I owned up to my mistakes and brought on this no Johns mindset that I was able to really improve myself in many aspects of my life. And so with that, I think a lot of people within the community have adopted the moniker of no Johns to help self-believe that they can do things that they otherwise thought they couldn't. So if they have a matchup issue in Smash, they will overcome it. They will find a way to win. If they have something in school that they need to overcome, it's no Johns. I will find a way to be better, study harder, work smarter, and find a solution to it. And in terms of a personal journey with no Johns, I really love the phrase. I love the mindset and I love the heart of it. And even when we make fun of each other with the phrase no Johns, so if somebody says a ludicrous excuse for losing, my hand twitched, or I don't know, the dog barked from a distance, or something really absurd, no Johns actually in the community is used as a joke between friends. So if you say my hand was tired, no Johns. And so it was supposed to be a really friendly, banterish type of phrase where you can say it among friends. So if Scar told me, my hands were cold, man. The room, the air conditioning was so blowing on my hands. It made me really bad. I can tell him, no Johns, man. But, at the end of the day, as a TO of that tournament where, I blew the air conditioner on his hands, I made a mental note to help make sure that didn't happen again. So a lot of times when we apply no Johns to other people in conversation, it's really meant to be a form of friendly banter. It's never meant to be this thing where you say, suck it up, I don't care about you. It was never meant to be like that. It was supposed to be a friendly thing with a little bit of truth to it. Man, don't make those excuses that you can do better than that. So it's a form of encouragement too, where it's I know you can do better. Don't make excuses for yourself. And so among friends, no Johns is also a really funny phrase. Now, the reason why I feel there's issues with it now is the way it's being presented. So obviously Smash over the years, has grown significantly. The documentary, EVO 2013, the breast drive, publicity, sponsors, esports, you name it, Smash has gone bigger. And of course, the documentary presented the phrase no Johns in one of its mini side segments. And as a result, the phrase has spread. And of course, if you ask anybody what no Johns means, it pretty much is a synonym for no excuses. But the intent is totally different, and I feel almost to the point where I just don't want to use the phrase anymore because of how it's currently being used. It's being used in contexts where there's no empathy provided. So if Armada, for example, were to post on social media that he doesn't feel like going to a tournament, he feels tired, has worn out, he's probably going to get a bunch of tweets saying no Johns. It's almost to the point where it's turned players, it's turned top players like Leffen, Mango, Mewtwo Hungrybox, Zero, into these machines where they're expected to perform regardless of condition. And if they have anything that they feel or any needs that they have or any problems they're going with, it's pretty much people ignore it, and now they're saying no Johns, man, suck it up, that shouldn't matter. It's almost as if now they don't even have human elements to them. It's almost as if we're expecting them to perform for us. They're not allowed to have emotions. They're not allowed to have feelings. They're not allowed to have problems. Everything has been responded with no Johns. And granted, like I would say most of the community is sensible with empathy, but the overall impression that I get when I see people interact with top players, especially, is that everything has been reduced to no Johns. Like, you can't make excuses. You're not allowed to have these emotions. You're not allowed to fail. You're not allowed to say anything. And I think it's really alienated a lot of top players, especially, where now they can't even post anything on social media without like 100 people like responding with no Johns. And so it's really lost its meaning, and it's kind of gone pointless to say it, to the point where I just don't want to say it anymore because of the negative emotions that are now coming out with it. I'm not really saying that we should ban the phrase or whatever. I'm not like going to advocate for that or anything, but I think what we have to really consider if going out of this talk, if you were to leave with anything, is just to have some empathy over top players, that they have emotions, they have feelings. And I think when we belittle people by saying to Mango, oh, I just feel exhausted, I feel burnt out, I don't really want to go to this tournament, but I'm going anyway, that using the phrase no Johns, it's not funny anymore. It's belittling, it's demeaning, it's condescending, actually. And just to be careful, because no Johns was actually a phrase that was used as friendly banter among friends to just joke around, and I feel that it's lost its meaning of the playfulness to now it's like, suck it up. And I feel that's what it means now, and it's lost its original intent. And so overall, if you carry the heart behind no Johns, I think it's a really great philosophy to have, to not make excuses for yourself. But when you're applying, trying to help other people out, and when they have problems or they're expressing their issues, just try to take a step back and say, like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't use the phrase no Johns right away. Maybe I should listen to them and have some empathy. And that's pretty much the point of this video.